When we dive into the world of football legends, we're talking about more than just winning a bunch of titles. We're talking about the players who reached the pinnacle of the sport, conquering the World Cup, the Champions League and the coveted Ballon d'Or. In this video, we're taking it up a notch and exploring what we like to call football immortality. Those players who rose above even the football royalty to achieve this remarkable feat. So here are the 9 footballers who conquered football. Starting off on the list is the wizard himself, Ronaldinho Gaucho. Ronaldinho is widely regarded as one of the most entertaining footballers in the history of football. And the Brazilian doesn't just have a card-changing smile. He also has an impressive trophy cabinet as well. Even though he didn't win much in his illustrious career, he managed to win at least one of every major achievement football has to offer, both collectively and individually. The Brazilian started his impressive football career in Grêmio. Still, it wasn't until his absolute beast of a performance at the 2002 World Cup that made him the football icon he is known as today. The Brazilian maestro started his holy trinity by winning the World Cup with Brazil in 2002, which earned him a monumental club move from PSG to FC Barcelona in 2003. It was at Barcelona that he won the FIFA Ballon d'Or award in 2005, beating Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard to the Golden Ball. He would go on to complete the Holy Trinity a year later after winning the Champions League with Barcelona, ending a 14-year drought for the Spanish club. Speaking of Brazilians, another football immortal on the list is none other than Ronaldinho's teammate himself, Rivaldo. Up until 1995, the Ballon d'Or was exclusively handed to European players, before being expanded to include all players active at the European club. After George Weah became the first non-European player to win it in the first year, another Brazilian, nicknamed El Fenomeno, followed up by winning it in 1997 before it landed in the hands of Rivaldo in 1999, after beating English superstar David Beckham to the prize. Rivaldo wouldn't wait long before adding the World Cup to his trophy cabinet in 2002 after defeating Germany in the final. The 2000s proved to be a wild ride for the Brazilian forward, but that didn't stop him adding a Champions League to his decorated cabinet in 2003 with Italian club AC Milan to make an appearance in this list. But he wasn't the only Brazilian that made strides in Italy while also playing for Milan, as this next name should prove, and he's none other than Kaká. Kaká got what most footballers would kill for at a very young age after winning the World Cup at the age of 20 with Brazil, even though he played just 25 minutes against Costa Rica at Brazil's victorious World Cup campaign in 2002. Seems like 2002 is an unforgettable year for a number of Brazilians, right? Anyway, that was just a start for a man who would go on to redefine the attacking midfielder role and become the world's premier number 10. He would go on to become an important part of the 2007 AC Milan's Champions League winning team with the help of coach Carlo Ancelotti, scoring 10 goals in an impressive campaign which allowed AC Milan to beat Liverpool in the final. His impressive campaign in 2007 convinced voters to name him the Ballon d'Or winner, becoming the last man to win it before the jubilee of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo began. Still on the topic of Italy, the next name on the list is an Italian legend, Paolo Rossi. Widely regarded as one of the greatest Italian footballers of all time, Paolo Rossi makes it into our immortals list. At the 1982 World Cup, the football world was largely surprised and some disappointed after Italy eliminated Brazil from the tournament. In a game that ended 3-2 in the favour of the Italians, the Juventus forward put on a performance of a lifetime by scoring a hat-trick, stunning the Brazilians senseless and knocking them out of the tournament. On a side note, what is it with Italians refusing to play football anywhere else besides Italy? Maybe you can let me know in the comments below. Back to the story. Rossi would go on to score 3 more goals at the World Cup, including a goal in the finals, to help the Italians to a victorious World Cup campaign which earned him the Golden Boot for highest goalscorer with 6 goals. He went a step further and won the Golden Ball for the best player of the tournament too, making him one of only 3 players to do this and the only European ever. Following an impressive World Cup outing, he was named in the 1982 Ballon d'Or winner, making him the only player in the history of football to win all 4 awards in the space of a year. He is Italy's top scorer at the World Cup with 9 goals overall, tied with Roberto Baggio and Christian Vieri. I guess an impressive World Cup campaign is enough to win you a Ballon d'Or after all. Moving on, 3 years later he found success at club level too, after winning the European Cup with Juventus in 1985, earning him a spot on this list. We've had 3 Brazilians, but he's the only Italian player to have completed football. The next name on this list is a player that has often been described as élégant. Pardon my French, but if you haven't guessed by now, it's Zinedine Zidane. 16 years after Rossi's heroics, another great wearing the Juventus colours gave another impressive campaign at the 1998 FIFA World Cup that will be remembered for ages. Zidane won the 1998 FIFA World Cup with France, scoring a brace in the final, to the dismay of the Brazilians looking for consecutive titles, and was named to the All-Star team. Even though he failed to complete a European Cup World Cup double after losing out to Real Madrid at the 1998 Champions League final with Juventus, he was named the winner at the 1998 FIFA Ballon d'Or award ceremony. The French midfielder is also the only French player to have completed football after winning the Champions League with Real Madrid in 2002, with Zidane scoring an absolute scorcher to put the game to bed. I mean, if you can't beat them, you join them, right? Which brings us to our next player, Gerd Müller. De Bomber, as he is often called, is an absolute beast of a striker, especially in and around the 6-yard box. I mean, you can take a hint from the name. Bayern's unprecedented success in the 1970s created a number of household names and legends, none more important than Gerd Müller, who lived for scoring goals. If you're an avid football fan, you can't think goals without Gerd Müller coming to mind. He registered 565 goals in 607 appearances for Bayern, but he was just as much a menace for his national team as he was for the club, scoring a mind-blowing 68 goals in 62 caps. After a successful season at Bayern Munich, he scored 10 goals at the 1970 FIFA World Cup for West Germany, where he received the Golden Boot as top goalscorer, before winning the 1970 Ballon d'Or. In 1972, he won the UEFA European Championship and was the top goalscorer, scoring 2 goals in the final. 2 years later, he scored 4 goals in the 1974 FIFA World Cup, including the winning goal in the final, and helped West Germany to the title. Unlike the other names mentioned earlier on the list, Müller won the European Cup 3 times, while also complementing it with the Ballon d'Or and the World Cup to achieve legendary status. But he's not the only German on this list, as you might soon find out. Another iconic German that became a household name is Franz Beckenbauer. He was nicknamed Der Kaiser, meaning the Emperor, because of his elegant style, dominance and leadership on the field, and also as his name Franz is reminiscent of the Austrian emperors. Unlike every other name on this list, he is one of 3 men, along with Brazil's Mario Zagallo and France's Didier Deschamps, to have won the World Cup as a player and as a manager. He lifted the World Cup trophy as captain in 1974 and repeated the feat as a manager in 1990. He was another household name that made Bayern a fortress, but ironically, it wasn't even meant to happen initially. An upsetting moment while participating in an under-14 tournament for youth side SC Munich ended any chance of 1860 Munich ever signing Franz Beckenbauer, who idolised the club growing up. Instead, he ended up signing for rivals Bayern, and the rest, as they say, is history. The elegant Bavarian footballer who pioneered the modern sweeper role, or libero, won just about everything there was in a 5-year spell. After conquering the Bundesliga, he won 3 European Cups on the bounce, and there was even greater success with West Germany. He won the Ballon d'Or in 1972 after a successful European Championships with West Germany, and won the World Cup 2 years later at the expense of Johan Cruyff's Dutch side. The Emperor also received a second Ballon d'Or thanks to his 3rd European Cup, cementing a historic legacy. He is also the only defender on this list. Coming up next is the only Englishman to have completed football, Sir Bobby Charlton. He is widely referred to as the greatest player England has ever produced, and rightly so. I mean, England hasn't managed to win the World Cup since 1966, when he won it with them. Heck, they haven't even gotten to the final since then. No one can deny Bobby Charlton gave everything during an illustrious 24-year career, although the best moments of his career came in the 1960s. Charlton first played a pivotal role in guiding England to World Cup success on home soil in 1966, scoring 3 goals, including 2 in the semi-final win over Portugal. His overall performances also earned him the Golden Ball at the tournament, which was enough to win him the FIFA Ballon d'Or in the same year. He also finished second in the Ballon d'Or voting in 1967 and 1968, and another astounding fact is that he was cautioned only twice in his career, once against Argentina in the 1966 World Cup and once in a league match against Chelsea. The attacking midfielder, who spent most of his career in Manchester United, got another date with Portuguese star Eusebio at Wembley 2 years later after their previous encounter at the World Cup, and it was a similar result for Charlton, this time with United. The Red Devils triumphed over Benfica in the European Cup final, thanks in part to a brace from Charlton, making them the first English winners of the competition. What makes him a true football immortal, though, happened when he emerged as a survivor of the ill-fated Munich plane crash that took the life of his teammates and almost ended his life as well. He completed football after that, a true football immortal. Before naming the last person on this list, an honourable mention to Brazilian legend Pelé. Brazilians are just too good at football, I know. At the time he was playing, the Libertadores was the top competition, just like the Champions League, and he won it 3 times. Also, he won the World Cup 3 times. It's also worth mentioning that the Ballon d'Or was exclusively for Europeans at the time, so he couldn't even get a nomination, which I'm sure he would have won. Also, he won an honorary Ballon d'Or, which doesn't count according to France football. Now that's out of the way, the last but certainly not the least is a man regarded as many as the greatest player to ever play the game. The only Argentine who completed football, and he's none other than Lionel Messi. Famously known as La Pulga, or the Magician, the Argentine has won every competition he's ever played in. He's also the player with the most trophies in the history of football, with a stunning 44 trophies in his monumental career. And when you look at the sheer number of Ballon d'Ors he's won, it can be hard to argue against the fact that he is the greatest of all time. Lionel Messi is one of just 2 players on this exclusive list to have won the Ballon d'Or more than once, but he blows Franz Beckenbauer's 2 out of the water with an incredible 8. Add on to that 4 Champions Leagues, and Messi must have a trophy room the size of a small house. But for many, La Pulga couldn't be considered the greatest unless he won the World Cup. After losing in the 2014 World Cup final to Germany and suffering an insufferable amount of bullying from fellow Argentines and journalists alike for not winning an international trophy for his country, Messi may have thought that was the closest he would get to lifting an international trophy, especially as Argentina were beaten in the quarter-finals in 2018. But the little magician made a miraculous comeback in 2021 after winning the Copa America with Argentina and doubling down on an international trophy after winning the Finalissima against Italy. In 2022 he got another chance at his World Cup dream at Qatar, aged 35, but it got off to the worst possible start as Saudi Arabia pulled off a shock 2-1 win. However, like Spain in 2010, Argentina were not moved by that defeat and won their next 6 games in the tournament to lift the trophy. And of course, Messi was instrumental. The playmaker scored 7 goals in 7 games, including 2 in the final, and provided 3 more assists, winning the Golden Ball in the process and finally getting his hands on the big one. There are some leading candidates like Kylian Mbappe, who has won the World Cup already and may complete the treble, or Julian Alvarez, who already has the World Cup and the Champions League at the age of 23. Comment down below to tell us who you are betting on to be the 10th man to complete football in the future. Also, if you love this video, don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification to get new updates when we post a new video. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye for now.